Okay, so here let's look at a simple concept that I've talked about in the past, which is my reaction to many abortion arguments that people make is simply that they're semantics arguments. So, for example, they'll say a fetus is not a baby, and they'll try to dehumanize it, and they'll try to change the language and the verbiage, which to me is an admission that they kind of acknowledge what they're doing would be wrong. So, think about it this way: if it was a baby, now would you still do it? Right. I'm not even saying, I never interject and say it should be illegal or you shouldn't be able to do it. It's more a consistency issue. So if it was a baby and you had to call it that, would it then be wrong? And then you wouldn't do it. So you're kind of admitting in that, oh, it is wrong. You would have a problem with it by your own standard, not by me, not by some empirical thing, not by God. I'm not using any of that. I'm just saying by your own standard, it would be wrong. So you have to rationalize it by saying, oh, it's not a human, it's not a baby. You're trying to dehumanize it to justify killing it. It's a very specific semantics argument, right? It's not coming from a place of logic and reason. You'll say, oh, it's coming from a place of science. That, oh, technically, a fetus isn't a baby, and oh, it's in an earlier stage of development, so that somehow makes it less valuable, less viable, right? But the problem with that is it's very loaded, right? You're going in with the premise. You're only saying that to justify abortion. You're not saying that normally. You're not thinking rationally. You're trying to use kind of ex post facto justification. You want to do an abortion, the vast majority of them for convenience purposes, which is fine. Again, I'm going from an objective perspective. I'm not saying don't do that. But let's acknowledge what it is. You're killing a baby for convenience because you don't want to deal with it financially, because you were irresponsible, didn't use protection, or whatever you did. Or again, the very small number, thankfully, of assault cases or otherwise health related concerns are not really relevant to even what I'm saying, but people always try to hide behind that. But the main issue is the semantics of it. You're trying to dehumanize it to justify killing it, right? And if it was a baby, you would have an issue with it, is basically what you're acknowledging. So you're simply using mental gymnastics to dance around that and say, it would be wrong if it was a baby, so we're going to call it something else, as if that changes it. And even it's sort of backwards logic in this sense that, oh, it's not yet a baby, therefore we can kill it. But the problem with that is the only reason why it's not becoming a baby is because you're killing it. Like, let it develop and leave it alone, and then it will be. So by that logic, it would apply to everybody. Okay, then you could abort every baby on that logic, because you could say, well, it's not yet a baby, it's only a fetus, therefore we can kill it and it's okay. So then if you did that with everybody, then nobody would ever reach the stage of being a baby. So you're kind of using that against it, right? From its perspective, like if it was self-aware and could like really think, and, obviously even a baby isn't super aware to that level. But what would it think from its perspective? Like, what did I do wrong as a fetus to deserve to die? Or again, they'll hear your argument. They'll say, let me try to understand what's going on here, as they're trying to abort me. And they'll think, oh, the issue is that I'm not a baby yet. So how do I solve that? How do I fix that? Oh, I would have to wait and develop further, which they're preventing me from doing. So it's a self-fulfilling fallacy that, like, oh, you can do it because it's not yet a baby, but the only reason why it's not a baby is because you're stopping it from developing to that point. So that would apply to 100% of cases, that you could always try to rationalize it. And let's look at a few. So again, the main issue is the semantics of it. Be consistent, right? That's always my thing. Acknowledge, okay, we're killing a baby for convenience. That's what it is, and just live with that. Or again, if you have an issue with it, then don't do it. Instead of, again, we would have an issue with it, but we try to rationalize it and bypass it by pretending like it's something else, kind of dehumanizing it and making it seem okay, because it's just, oh, it's somehow less than human, it's somehow lesser, right? So be consistent with that. Don't try to hide behind it. Don't try to use semantics. And again, the conclusion isn't even that you shouldn't do it. Do it, but then acknowledge what you're actually doing instead of trying to hide from it. So let's look at a few other concepts here, like, by that same token. So if, again, you're in the earlier stage of development where it's a fetus, and so you're dehumanizing it, you're not saying that even the your body, your choice aspect, although that could be boiled down to a fallacy too. Like, okay, so then it's your choice to get pregnant too, and your choice to engage in those acts that could lead to getting pregnant. So it's only your body, your choice when you're pregnant, not when you're having sex, not when you're doing anything in a relationship, not when you're going through all those decisions and choices that you choose to make. Again, the small number of assault cases that, again, the majority of abortions are not about that, right? They're just done for convenience. That's pretty verifiable in statistics. Anybody can see that. So people always try to hide behind some of those rare cases, but the majority of the time, again, it's your body, your choice when you are in a relationship. It's your body, your choice when you choose who to have sex with and whether it's protected or not. It's your body, your choice when you do all of that, right? Leading up to that. So now when it's an inconvenience for you with the pregnancy, now you say, oh, my body, my choice, and try to justify it. That's the one instance where it's not just your body because it's obviously somebody else is involved here. A person, or if you want to dehumanize, okay, a potential person. So the problem with that is you're not thinking clearly because you'll try to hide behind it now, but what about the responsibility? If you don't want to have a kid, then just don't have sex or have protected sex or, you know, do what you have to do to prevent that from happening if that's not what you want. But now you're kind of trying to hide from the responsibility of your actions. You want to have sex, you want to be unprotected, you want to indulge hedonistic acts, that's fine, right? Do whatever you want, but then the result is of your own control, right? It's not like people act like it's something, nobody forced you to do that. Again, the assault case is notwithstanding, but that's not the majority of abortion. So take responsibility for it the whole time. It's your body when you choose to have sex and when you do things that lead to you getting pregnant. So that's the result and responsibility that you have. And then even just the logic of the fetus, again, being killed is broken because, okay, so if you get in a car crash with somebody or somebody hits you, more like, you're pregnant and somebody crashes into your car and it's their fault, but you're unharmed, right? Somehow, pose the hypothetical. You're unharmed. You're not injured. You're not dead, anything like that. But the shock of it causes the fetus that you're at that stage to die and basically be no longer basically the same result as an abortion, right? You can say, oh, it's not dying because, oh, it's not a lot, it's the same semantics. But effectively, it kills the fetus. Now, that person isn't going to be charged. He can't be charged because, oh, it's only a fetus. It's not even a baby, so it's okay to kill it. Right now, you might fall back and say, oh, no, but it's a consent thing. Like, you didn't choose that or you didn't agree to that. But that isn't the premise of the argument that, oh, it's your choice. The premise of the argument is that, oh, it's okay to kill it because it's not yet a baby. It's not yet at that stage, right? It's not yet fully alive or viable and how people say it. So by that logic, okay, so if somebody does that, that would be okay because it's not, or that wouldn't be a crime, or it would be a much lesser crime then. It's not like they're actually killing somebody. It's just, oh, they're doing it without your consent, or they're getting in a crash, but since it's not a baby anyway, it's not a big deal, right? It would be the same logic. There's this other example that people always use too, like if you kill certain eggs of certain animals or shellfish, right? I can't remember exactly what it is, but that's considered a crime or some sort of poaching. So like basically in the egg stage or some earlier stage. So it applies to animals, but it doesn't apply to people, right? Sometimes they'll use it the other way, like, oh, an acorn, right? If you destroy that, is that like killing a tree or something like that, right? Like a seed. But the difference there is we don't treat trees that severely either. Like you can chop down a tree, and in some cases it might be a crime, but we don't care as much about a tree as we do about a person, right? It's different. So to the degree that that's relevant, right? We value human life very highly, so right, you can't compare it that way because it's not the same thing. And so that's the final point, is just like if somebody snatches your baby out of you, like somehow, right? Grant the hypothetical. But if somebody does that, does that make it okay then? Because what is the crime then? Are you going to charge them for somebody, it bumps into you and it causes the baby to get, killed, basically the fetus to get killed, and then but you're unharmed. So, oh, I guess there's no crime. It's a victimless crime, the same way that abortion apparently is, right? Because by that broken logic, you're saying, well, it's not human, so it's okay. So just, it's fine. There's no crime, or what is the crime? And then that same crime should apply to abortion, because again, you'll say it's your choice, your body, but that doesn't change what the underlying crime would be, right? Whether someone else did it to you without your consent or whether you do it yourself, if it's a crime, you'd have to define what that is. What are they doing? Right? They're doing what without your consent? They're killing your fetus without your consent. Um, right. So is that the crime? Is it killing a baby? Is it ending a life? Like, what is the severity of it?